Hi friends, welcome back. I hope you are all enjoying the video lessons that we are uploading every day. Since we are not getting much doubts, we think that everything is clear and you are able to understand it and study better. So if you have any doubt, don't hesitate to ask. Don't have to feel shy or anything. You can ask me personally in my number. Okay. Now, yesterday we studied about the great Himalayas, the Himalaya mountains. And the second physical feature or second area is that is the northern plains. The northern plain. So the northern plains just remain close to the or next to the Himalayan mountains, especially the third range, the Shivaliks, close to that, because these plains are started by the rivers that is flowing down from the Himalayan mountains. They bring down a lot of sand, silt and clay, and they go on depositing, and that area becomes a plain area, level area. That is how this northern plain is created. So let's study in detail about this northern plains. The northern plain has been formed by interplay of the three major river systems, namely the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, and along with their tributaries. You can underline which are the three rivers responsible for the formation of these northern plains, that is the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra and their tributaries, the small branching of the rivers. And this plain is formed of alluvial soil. That also you can underline. That is, the content of this plain, or the most important content of this plain, is alluvial soil. And the deposition of alluvial is a vast basin lying at the foothills of the Himalaya over millions of years, formed this fertile plain. So, when we were studying about the formation of Himalayan mountain, we realized Himalaya is a folded mountain, and when it was raised up, then in the bottom part there was a vacuum, there was a valley. So these rivers bringing down this silt and the alluvial soil constantly for millions of years, that valley was filled up, and slowly this valley is filled up, and the plain became plain, and it is extended. As the mud is coming down every year together with the water, together with the rain, more and more soil is brought down, and the valley is extended, it's going far and far. And over the soil, every year new soil is added to it. So it took millions of years, not just a few years, but millions of years to get this valley filled up and the formation of this northern plains. And it spreads over an area of 7 lakh square kilometers. So the area of this northern plain is 7 lakh square kilometers. You can underline. The plain being about 2,400 kilometers long. The length of this northern plain is 2,400 kilometers, and the width is, some places it is broad, some places it is narrow. So starting with 240 kilometers to 320 kilometers, that is the breadth. So the length is 2,400, so it is very long, and the breadth is starting from 240. Some places it is 240, and some places it is reaching up to 320. And it is densely populated area. You can imagine what would be the reason why this northern plain is densely populated. Because of the richness of the soil, because of this fertile soil, the farmers, people want to settle down there so that they can cultivate and they can get a good harvest, because they are sure that this alluvial soil will produce the best fruit or maximum fruit for their hard work. So that's why this area is very densely, very thickly populated. And the rich soil or combined with adequate water supply and favorable climate, it is agriculturally a very productive part of India. So you can underline what is the reason for this area being thickly populated or densely populated. The reason is the rich soil is rich, that is one reason we already said. Then there is adequate water supply. Since three rivers are flowing down from Himalaya, there is always water supply. And you know, the rivers that is flowing down from Himalaya, they will have perennial water supply always throughout the year. When there is no rain also, the snow will be melting and the water will be coming down. So always water is available. That is second reason. Then third reason why it is densely populated is it is because of the climate, favorable climate, and it is combining all these together. A very rich soil, abundant water supply, and favorable climate. So combine all these three, it is able to produce a very good harvest, a very productive area. Therefore, people come and settle down there more and more because they know that they are going to be richly rewarded for their hard work. And the rivers coming from northern mountains are involved in deposital work. So we said all this alluvial soil is deposited in this northern plain by these three rivers, Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. And in the lower course, due to gentle slope, the velocity of the river decreases, which results in the formation of riverine islands. So, as the Himalayan mountains are there, the river is flowing down. So, the slope is very gentle, not very sharp. So, slowly, the slope is very low, very gentle, and therefore the force is less. If it is very steep place, water will flow down very fast. The speed will be very high. But here the slope is very less, therefore the speed of the water is very low. Therefore, what happens? It creates some kind of riverine islands. That means the river is flowing down this way, and since it is depositing the alluvial soil here, suppose if it is depositing the soil here. So, since the water has no much force, it will not flow straight. It has no strength to remove the soil and flow. So, what happens? It will flow this way. River will flow this way and it may flow this way. So, this river gets divided into so many tributaries. So, it will go this way. So, this place will remain like an island. That is called riverine island. It remains like an island. I hope you understood. So, it remains a riverine island. So, because of the soil deposited here, the water flows this way and it creates tributaries, and this area will remain like an island surrounded by this water. So, that is because of the gentle slope of this area. Then the rivers in their lower course split into numerous channels due to the deposition of silt, and these channels are known as distributaries. So, in the same way, it takes place in many places. After the mountain, in many places, this river is depositing the silt. Many places. So, river cannot flow straight. It will come like this and flow. It will flow sideways. Same way here. So many small rivers are created. They are called distributaries. So from the main river, because of the soil deposit here, the place becomes little high. Therefore, the river will change its direction and it will flow in another direction. And that way, the river is having so many small rivers. They are called distributaries. And we know in Assam we have a river island in the river Brahmaputra. What is it called? It is called river Machuli Island, that is formed this way. So the river The northern plain is broadly divided into three sections. The western part of the northern plain is referred to as Punjab Plains. So, this northern plain, it is starting from the north. So, the Punjab side, on top we have Punjab, and it is called Punjab Plains. The area that is falling into Punjab area, it is called Punjab Plains, and formed by the Indus and its tributaries. So this Punjab Plains, it is mainly helped by river Indus. And the larger part of this plain lies in Pakistan. So the main part of this Punjab Plain, it is in Pakistan. India has got only a small area. You remember some area in Punjab, Pakistan also is known as Punjab. So that plain is also formed by Indus. So this northern plains created by Indus, which falls near Punjab area, is known as Punjab plain, and a larger part of it is also remaining or falling in Pakistan side. And the Indus and its tributaries, the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Beas and the Satluj originates in Himalaya. So the river Indus, and it has got 5 tributaries. They all start from Himalaya. And this section of the plain is dominated by dogs. So the area of this northern plain called Punjab plain, it is dominated by dogs. You know what is meaning of dog? It is formed by 2 words. Do means 2. Of means water. So 2 waters, that is the meaning. So in the same way again, imagine what will be the meaning of Punjab. Do, Ab means water. Then Panch means 5 waters. That's what we talk about Indus and its 5 tributaries. That is why the name comes Panch Ab, 5 waters. Then we come to second river. So this is about Indus plain, that is also known as Punjab plain. Now the second river is Ganga. The Ganga plain extends between Gahar and Tita rivers. So the plain that is created by this Ganga river, it is extending up to Tista river. It is spread over the states of North India, Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, partially Jharkhand, West Bengal to its east, and particularly in Assam lies the Brahmaputra plain. So this second river called Ganga, it is extending into all the northern states like Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar and so on. It is also partially entering into other states like Jharkhand and West Bengal. Then it is also the Brahmaputra that is creating the plain in Assam. Then the northern plains are generally described as flat lands with no variations on its relief. So the land in this northern plain, it is generally known as plain. There is no relief. There is no high place and low place as such. Somewhat it is level and plain. And it is not true. So that is generally people think. When we say northern plain, we think that it is completely plain. There is no high place, there is no place, no low place. That is what we think. But that is not exactly true. The area is not completely plain. Let's see what are the differences. These vast plains also have diverse relief features. According to the variations in relief features, the northern plains can be divided into 4 regions. So these northern regions we can divide into 4 regions. Which are they? You can see they are First we can say the rivers, after descending from the mountains, deposit pebbles in narrow belts of about 8 to 16 kilometers in width, lying parallel to the slopes of the Shivaliks. It is known as Babar. So we see the Himalayan mountains are the Shivalik, the third range of the Himalayan mountain is remaining like this, and the river is flowing this way, flowing down. So it will be bringing a lot of stones as well. Not only the water it is bringing, not only the soil that it is bringing, it is also bringing whatever is there on the way. Small pebbles and so on. Small pebbles, big stones, sand, all this it will be bringing. So as it is bringing down, all the heavy things will remain at the foot of the hill. Then what is light or what is not very heavy, it will still continue to flow together with the water. So along the foothills of the Shivalik or the third range of the Himalaya, all the big pebbles will remain there. So because it is too heavy, it does not flow. We said the slope is not much, therefore it is not, the water is not that fast. The water cannot flow very fast. Therefore all the heavy things will remain there at the foot of the hills. And it has got a name. What is it? It is called Babar. So the area that is filled with these pebbles, it is called Babar. Babar. And all the streams disappear in this Babar belt. So all the streams that is coming down from the top of the mountain, that will disappear here. Can you say why? The river is suddenly disappearing. Up to here the river can be seen, but entering into this Babar, river is disappearing because it is full of pebbles, stones. So water will go down under the pebbles. Water will not flow on top of the pebbles. It will go down and flow under the pebbles. And then, so what is the length of this? Between 8 to 16 kilometers. So it is not a short distance. It will be up to 16 kilometers long it will be. So during that area or that 16 kilometers long, the river will be flowing under these pebbles. And and all the streams disappear in the Babar belt. South of this belt, the streams and the rivers re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy region known as the Rai. So after this 16 kilometers, what happened? Then the pebbles are over and the water cannot flow inside because the mud is very tight. So what happens? Here at the end of the 16 kilometers, the water will come up again because it cannot flow underneath. The way is blocked. After the 16 kilometers, no more pebbles. It is solid soil, and therefore water cannot flow. It will come up again. So it will start flowing on top. So when the water comes up here, it becomes a very slushy area because a lot of water is coming up here suddenly. Up to here it is very dry. Water is flowing only downside. Here the water is coming up on top of the soil, and that place is known as Terai. And this was a thickly forested region full of wildlife. So since this place is very marshy, people cannot cultivate there. Always water is remaining there. Therefore what is happening is forest trees are growing here. A lot of trees are growing here. It is a very a thick forest. It is the Rai region. And the forests have been cleared to create agricultural land and to settle migrants from Pakistan after partition. So what did the government do when India got independence? They cut down all these trees and they began to, some area they managed to make it it cultivable, make it agricultural land. Other areas they managed to make house or settling people, because after partition of India, a lot of people were chased out from Pakistan. They were forced to come back to India, and so government had to find a place for them to stay, to settle down, to make house, and so this terrain region was made use for that, to help the people to settle down there. Then the third part. The largest part of the northern plain is formed of all the alluvium. So alluvium is said every year the soil is coming down. Alluvial soil is coming down from the top of the mountain. So it comes down first, then next year it will come again, and another year again it will come. So it will keep on coming. So the fresh one or the new one will remain always on top. The old one will be sideways. So the old soil that came early, that is the largest part is occupied by this old alluvium soil. They lie above the flood plains of the rivers and present a terrace-like feature, and this part is known as bagar. So this part where this old alluvium soil is filled, that is called bagar. It is known as bangar, not bagar, bangar. So this soil will be all alluvium soil which came and deposited previous years. Then the soil in this region contains calcareous deposits. So there is a lot of calcareous deposits are there. Calcareous means the elements that is containing calcium. Then it is locally known as kankar. So the soil in this region containing calcareous deposits is locally known as kankar. So sometimes they'll ask what is kankar. So in the Bangar region, the soil that is containing calcium, that is known as kankar. Calcium kankar. So easy to remember. Then the younger deposits of the floodplains are called Qatar. So old soil is known as Bangar. This is old. But if it is new, what is it known as? Qatar. The new soil is known as Qatar. New soil is known as Qatar. And they are renewed almost every year. So every year this alluvial soil is renewed, because the river is bringing fresh soil again and again. Then and so are fertile, thus ideal for intensive agriculture. So which soil is better for cultivation? New soil or old soil? New one is better because it comes fresh from top of the mountains and it is containing a lot of chemicals, elements which are good for the growth of agricultural plants. Therefore, this area, the Qatar, where this new alluvium soil is brought by the river, that area is intensely cultivated. But here, since they are already cultivated, the elements in the soil are maybe not enough. So here the plants may not grow that well, but this one is very good. It is very good for agricultural crop, and it produces the best harvest. Therefore, farmers are intensely cultivating in this new alluvium soil called Qatar. So that is about the northern plains. I hope you understood. I'll just say a few points again. So it is brought down by the northern plain. The main elements are the alluvium soil, the chips or the pebbles and so on, the sand and so on. They are brought down by these three rivers called Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. And the plain that is in the Punjab area, that is brought by or created by the river Indus. And since it is in the area of Punjab, it is known as Punjab Plain. And a major part of this Punjab Plain is lying in Pakistan side. And then after that, the plain area is created by the river Ganga, that is in the northern India, in Punjab, UP, Bihar, Delhi and so on. This area, the plain is created by the river Ganga. Then in Assam, the plain area is created by river Brahmaputra. And as the river is bringing down the silt, some places it is accumulated, and so the river cannot flow straight, therefore it takes a diversion, it flows through sideways, and that way it is creating small distributaries. The small rivers called distributaries, and in between the distributaries there can be small islands in the river. They are called riverine island. And the Majuli Island in the river Brahmaputra in Assam is an example for that. And then we said throughout the plain it is not same feature. Everywhere it is not the same soil. So just near to the foothills or foot mountains, the area is filled with lot of pebbles. The pebbles that are brought down from Mount Himalaya, they remain close to the foothills because it is too heavy, it cannot flow through along with the water. And that area is somewhat 16 kilometers long, and that place the water is sinking down. So since it is a lot of pebbles, water can easily go down. So the river is suddenly disappearing here, and then it is going down and it comes up again after the 16 kilometers. So that area where the river is coming up again, that area becomes waterlogged. It becomes a slushy area. So a lot of trees were growing there. But after the independence, India people had to face a lot of refugees from Pakistan coming to India. Government had to arrange a place for them to stay. So what did government do? Government cut down these areas, did deforestation, and made the people to settle down there. We gave them that place to settle down, make house and so on. And also some areas they managed to make into cultivable land, agricultural land. Then we said about the place, the two types of alluvium soil. One is new, another one is old. So the old alluvium soil is known as Bangar, and the new alluvium soil is known as Kathar. And Kathar is good for cultivation. That contains a lot of elements, chemical elements, which will help the growth of the plant. Therefore, this Kathar soil is always used for intense cultivation. That area is cultivated again and again intensely, 2 times in a year, 3 times in a year, and so, because they are able to get good harvest from that. So that is about the northern plains. So remember these names and the locations and so on. Next one, let us see the next part, that is the Peninsula Plateaus. The Peninsula Plateaus, which are write in short form, the Peninsula Plateaus. So we know, we have already said that the Deccan part of the earth of India, we know it is projecting into the sea, the southern part of India, from Gujarat and from Bengal side, both sides is entering into the sea. That is called the Peninsula Plate. And when we are talking about the formation of the earth, we studied that this Peninsula Plate is a very old one. It was part of the Gondwana land in olden times, before the creation of these different continents. All this land, India, Australia, Asia, Africa, all these were one single landmass. and then it was divided, and this Peninsula Plate is part of that ancient Gondwana land. So we can say in India, this is the oldest landmass, the Peninsula Plateau. So the Peninsula Plateau is a tableland composed of old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rock. So how is this composed? It is composed of igneous means which comes out of this larva and so on. So it is igneous, it is burned and it is coming out. And then it is also metamorphic rocks, the rocks that are not very strong, it gets on and changing, powdered and broken and so on. So that is the contents of this soil. And it was formed due to the breaking and drifting of the Gondwana land, and thus making it a part of the oldest landmass. So you can underline which is the oldest landmass in India, that is the Peninsula Plateau. And the plateau has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. So what are the physical features of this Peninsula Plateau? It has got shallow valleys that are not very deep, very shallow, and rounded hills, the hills that are not very steep, not very high, but it is somewhat round. And this plateau consists of two broad divisions, namely the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. The part of the Peninsula Plateau lying in the north of the Narmada River, covering major area of the Malabar Plateau, is known as Central Highlands. So what is Central Highland? The part of the Peninsula Plateau lying to the north of the Narmada River. So the area that is in the northern part of this Narmada River that is flowing through this Peninsula Plateau, that area is known as Central Highlands. And the Vidyan Range is bounded by the Central Highlands on the south and the Aravallis on the northwest. And the further westward extension gradually merges with the sandy and the rocky desert of Rajasthan. As we go further and further towards west side, this peninsula plateau will go and join with the Rajasthan desert. Then the flow of the rivers draining this region, namely the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and the Ken, is from southwest to the northeast, thus indicating the slope. So three rivers are flowing through this region. What are they? It is Chambal, the Sand, the Sindh, the Betwa and Ken. Sorry, four rivers are there. They are flowing towards the northeast. That means the land is sloping towards the northeast. And the Central Highlands are wider in the west but narrower in the east. It is wider in the western side, but when we go to the eastern side, it becomes smaller and smaller, narrow. Then the eastward extension of the plateau are locally known as Bundelkhand. So the plateau that is going towards the eastern side, it is known as Bundelkhand. We can underline what is Bundelkhand. The east part of the Peninsula Plate is known as Bundelkhand. And Bundelkhand. So two extensions are there towards the eastern side. One is known as Bundelkhand, another one is known as Bundelkhand. The Chota Nagpur Plate marks the further eastward extension drained by the Damodar River. So the Chota Nagpur Plate that is falling in this Peninsula Plate, it is going still further eastward. It is going beyond the Bundelkhand and the Bundelkhand, and then it is drained by the Damodar River. It is drained, or it is supplied water by this river called Damodar River. Then the Deccan Plate is triangular landmass that lies to the south of the river Narmada. So it is lying to the south of the river, another river called Narmada. The Satpura range flanks its broad base in the north, while the Mahadev, the Kaimur Hills, and the Michael Range form its eastern extensions. So, at the eastern side, the boundary of this Peninsula Plateau is there is Mahadev, the Kaimur Hills, and the Michael Range. They are forming in the eastern side, the boundary of this plateau. And locate these hills and ranges in the physical map of India. So we can see the India map in the other page, and you can see where are these hills located. An extension of the plateau is also visible in the northeast, locally known as Meghalaya and Karbi Anglong Plateau. So this hill that is there in the Peninsula Plateau, it is also extending to the northeast, namely in the state of Meghalaya and Assam, Karbi Anglong district. So it is known as Meghalaya and Karbi Anglong Plateau. And it is simply separated by a fault from Chota Nagpur Plate. So it is separated from Chota Nagpur Plate. And three prominent hill ranges from the west to east are the Garo Hills, the Kasi Hills, and the Jaintia Hills. So these hills known as Meghalaya and Karbi Anglong Plateau, these three famous hills or more important hills that are found there, they are in Meghalaya. One is Garo Hills, another one is Kasi Hills, another one is Jaintia Hills. So these are the three hills that are extended from this Peninsula Plateau to the northeast, and that is mainly found in Assam Meghalaya border. And we said the three famous hills in this are Garo Hills, Kasi Hills, and Jaintia Hills. So today we shall wind it up, and we will continue in the coming class again, the next class, and we will be able to complete the chapter in the coming day, and we will be able to begin again a new lesson. So you read through, find out if you have understood or not, and if you have any doubt or difficulties, please feel free to ask me. So thank you for listening to me, and have a nice day. Bye.